For many who are getting ready to retire or who are within 10 to 15 years of retirement, they no longer see that as an end as much as they see it as a beginning. Retirement isn't the finish line. It's kind of a transition to a new chapter. And if it's done right, it can be one of the most exciting and fulfilling phases of your life. Some retirees are still using more of an old framework, meaning they're chasing a number. I need $1 million, or I just need enough to get by. What you really want to ask is much deeper questions. What do I want my life to look like? Hi, I'm Annette Bau, host of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast and founder of the Millionaire Insider. My mission is to help you simplify the money game so you can create a financially secure and fulfilled life without having to have a PhD or spend countless hours on your finances. You're going to learn how to think like a millionaire, stop worrying about money and wondering if your financial house is truly in order, and instead spend your time doing what you love. With over 3 decades advising 7, 8, and even 9-figure millionaires, and now joining that elite group, I'm in a unique position to help you make the best financial choices so you can create a secure financial future and retirement you love. This is the Wealth Inside and Out podcast. Today's free resource is our residual income guide. You can go to themillionaireinsider.com/RIG. Let's face it, one of the most important things you've got to do in your life is create a plan to have either passive or residual income so that you have income every month and you don't have to worry about it. And when it comes to redefining retirement, that's a critical component. And it's also an element of your retirement or a part of your retirement that is now requiring you become more active in it, meaning with all the talks about changing Social Security, likely extending the age, reducing the amount, not adding an inflation benefit, all of the things that are on the table right now, is becoming more and more important that you take your retirement into your own hands. And the residual income guide is going to give you some insight on where to start and what you need to do. Again, you can access it at themillionaireinsider.com/RIG. For today's show notes, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/126. MillionaireSeries.com copyrights all materials and intellectual property. This information is for educational purposes only. It is not intended to replace any advisor or specialist or to provide any investment, financial, tax, retirement planning, or healthcare advice. By accessing this content, you agree to hold MillionaireSeries.com and its affiliates harmless for results achieved or not achieved. Most of us were taught that retirement means we reach a certain age and then we get to stop working, right? You get to quit your job and you have that big retirement party. I mean, think back to our parents and grandparents. We then collected Social Security, and then kind of just quietly and permanently lived our lives. It's just so interesting how different it was. The old definition does not match today's reality, and it doesn't reflect the lives of most pre-retirees or retirees, especially ones that really want to live life to their fullest. In my 36 years of advising thousands of individuals, it's amazing, but this month marks 36 years. It's hard to believe it. I've seen firsthand how dramatically the idea and concept of retirement has evolved. It's no longer sitting back and kind of watching your life pass by. Redefining retirement is about finding a new, fresh purpose, clarity, and freedom. And it's really about living life and retirement on your terms. So let's dive into redefining retirement, creating a life you love on your terms. Decades ago, retirement was structured so that you worked for 30 or 40 years. You earned a pension. In many cases, that pension was more than what you were making at your job. And then you collected Social Security. And then the rest of your life was just to rest. It's just so interesting. Since life expectancy has so dramatically increased and traditional pensions have virtually disappeared, the cost of living, especially for healthcare, housing, food, transportation, has soared. It's required a different perspective. In addition to that, we're all different, meaning we have different desires. Some people do want to retire and just sit and do nothing. Others are much more active and engaged and really curious about what they can do in the next chapter of their life. Many of us want to have a retirement that has meaning, fulfillment, and flexibility so that we can choose what we do. Now, some retirees are still using more of an old framework, meaning they're chasing a number. I need $1 million, or I just need enough to get by. But what you really want to ask is much deeper questions. What do I want my life to look like? How do I want to feel each day? And what's going to bring me peace, purpose, and joy? And you got to get really clear on that. The people who are the happiest during their working careers and in retirement are ones who really get clear on how they want to feel, and they work on embodying that emotion now. They want to really identify what brings them peace, purpose, joy, so that they can do more of that. And then when they retire, it's kind of like they're already used to that as compared to waiting until you get to that magical date that you retire and then just hoping everything's going to fall into place, which it rarely does. Because if you haven't embodied the emotion you want, rarely is it going to happen once you hit a certain milestone. Now, as I mentioned, for many who are getting ready to retire or who are within 10 to 15 years of retirement, they no longer see that as an end as much as they see it as a beginning. Retirement isn't the finish line. It's kind of a transition to a new chapter. And if it's done right, it can be one of the most exciting and fulfilling phases of your life. In fact, I have so many clients who are just so loving their retirement. In fact, I'm like, boy, I might have to think about that. But, I love what I do. And I think the key is that you're loving what you're doing, whether it's retired or working. If you have that passion, you have that purpose, and you're enjoying it, that's what it's all about. Happiness and fulfillment doesn't just happen. It requires intentional planning. You got to have a clear vision and ideally a strong financial strategy that's going to allow you to confidently enjoy your life and not worry if you're going to have enough money. For many of my clients, redefining retirement means replacing their paycheck with predictable income, making their assets are protected, and designing a spending plan that gives them permission to enjoy their life without guilt or uncertainty. So let's talk about going from uncertainty to clarity and the power of a solid plan. Because one of the things that I see a lot of times happen is people don't have a financial plan. And when you don't, it's easy to worry and second guess your decisions because you don't really know, right? You're like, well, I hope I'm going to be okay, but you don't really know you are. You might be saving diligently or having significant assets, but without a roadmap, you're left with that lingering question. Do I have enough? What's it going to be like? Am I going to have to go back to work? What if I get sick? All those things that create a sense of fear or uncertainty. That uncertainty can weigh on you and cause relationship problems. It can cause health problems and a quandary of other issues. I've seen so many people's lives change from worrying about having enough money to really having a confidence and knowing things are going to be okay simply by having a plan and having predictable income. One of the most critical steps in this whole process is clarity, and it's a comprehensive plan that allows you to get clear so that you can really answer some of the most important questions. For example, how much can I spend each year and still be financially secure? What's the best way to generate income in retirement without outliving my savings? How do I generate money so I can delay depleting my assets? What steps can I take to reduce taxes? That is so critical because some people pay tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of taxes more than if they had an effective retirement and tax plan. How do I protect myself and my spouse from unexpected health or long-term care costs? Ooh, that's a big one. These questions aren't just financial decisions, they're life decisions, and getting them right is going to change everything. So let's talk about replacing your paycheck with peace of mind. One of the biggest financial shifts in retirement is moving from that accumulation phase to the distribution. For over 30 to 40 to 50 years you've worked, you've earned money and you've saved it. Now you've got to learn how to generate income from those assets. And that can be hard for many people. And it often is a place where many people get stuck. A common question people ask is, where's my money going to come from when my paycheck stops? So let's dive into the process. The first thing you got to do is determine what your need expenses are. Those are your essential expenses: mortgage, rent, utilities, insurance, things you got to have. The goal is to generate enough guaranteed income to cover your essential expenses at a minimum, right? You got to have that so you know you have that covered, because as long as you have those essential expenses covered, you're okay. Yeah, it may not be what you want, but you're going to be okay. Options for guaranteed income include a company pension, which is much more unlikely now than it used to be, Social Security, or a guaranteed annuity. The key is to know that a certain amount of money is going to come in each month. You've got a certain guaranteed income, no matter what the market does. And that one concept is a game changer. I have never had anyone who's got guaranteed income, be it from Social Security, be it from a pension, be it from a guaranteed annuity, or all three, or a combination of two, ever come and said, this was a terrible plan. They're like, this is great. Because why? They don't have to worry. I've seen firsthand with my clients where once they know that their need-based expenses are covered by guaranteed income, they can relax and start enjoying life, travel more, spend more time with family, say yes to new experiences. They stop worrying about every single fluctuation in the market. And I get it, especially when you have your income tied to that. It's completely nerve-wracking. Now, Social Security may provide a base. If you're fortunate, you might have a pension. And if not, then you're going to have to commit to creating your own pension with guaranteed income. This should cover, again, your need-based expenses. Well, a lot of people also do want-based expenses. I'm not as concerned about that. I'm much more concerned about need-based expenses. Now, if there's something on your want-based expenses that is like life-changing, and if you don't have it, you're going to be depressed and suicidal, and that should be included in your need-based expenses. And then next is your want-based expenses. You can use personal or retirement assets, which may include layering income sources or creating a strategy with both stable as well as flexible income, focused on total return. You might even have dividend stocks in there, things that could be subject to market volatility, all of those type of assets. And the reason you can have that in the second bucket is because those are want-based expenses. They're not expenses that you have to have. And so you have a little more flexibility there. Now, again, some people want their need and want-based expenses to be covered. I do. I like it. And I have a lot of clients that do. Doesn't mean you have to. For many retirees, achieving peace of mind is priceless. I mean, isn't it? I mean, what more could you ask for? Knowing I've got enough money and that I love my life is just, you can't put a price tag on that. In fact, I would say that has been probably the most important skill I've developed and many of my clients have. Your money plan is going to help you create more peace, as will your inner game practices such as meditation and yoga. I think meditation is absolutely critical. Hopefully, you know by now that retirement isn't just about the money. Yes, money is so important, but it's not the only factor in creating a retirement you love. Over the years, I have worked with so many wealthy people, and some who have amazing lives and others miserable lives. And the difference wasn't about the dollar amount in their bank account. It was about their mindset, their clarity, their purpose, and their connection to something bigger than themselves. Redefining retirement means creating space for that joy, the creativity, and the connection you desire. It's about waking up with a sense of purpose. And that could mean spending time with your grandkids, with friends, mentoring younger generations, learning a new skill, or giving back to your community. There's not a right or wrong. It's just what works for you. So let's talk about creating that new definition for retirement. If you're feeling overwhelmed or unsure where to begin, I want you to just take a deep breath and start creating a plan or updating the one you have. And if you find this overwhelming, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/SR, which stands for support request, or you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/support-request and get some help. But the key is you got to start. You don't have to have all the answers today, but you do need to start asking better questions and taking small, consistent steps in the right direction. That, my friend, is the key. Start by clarifying what your vision looks like. You want to then align your financial plan and your goals to support that vision. And most importantly, give yourself permission to really define success on your own terms, not someone else's. So many people define it by their partner, their friends, their parents, maybe their peers, not what they truly want. Whether you want to spend your days traveling the world, pursuing long-held passions, mentoring others, or just enjoying quiet time, a well-designed life and retirement can be your time to really flourish and really love your life. I mean, it's just, to me, it's so exciting to see so many people who are so happy. And then I talk to other people who are like stressed out or so concerned. And the one thing, and I've shared this on a podcast, that they have in common is the ones that are stressed out and fearful and overwhelmed don't have predictable income and don't have enough money. It's not fun, my friend. So don't let that be you. You deserve a retirement that reflects your values, that supports your lifestyle, and that brings you joy. And the best news is with the right strategy, support, and mindset, it's within your reach. So let's dive into some final thoughts on redefining retirement. Retirement is no longer a finish line. It's a reinvention, a fresh chapter, an invitation to really live fully without regret. And if you create the right plan, you'll be able to do it. It doesn't happen by accident. It requires clarity, a vision, a plan, and a willingness to let go of outdated models that no longer serve any of us. And they really can't, because we no longer have the opportunity of a pension. We have the uncertainty of Social Security and the fact that Medicare is continuing to increase in price. And now Medicaid, the safety net that's always been there, is being yanked out from under us. And I get it. It's very concerning to me. The bottom line is we can wallow in that fear and that anxiety, or we can do something about it. And what I encourage each one of you to do is to just start taking it into your own hands and really creating a plan. And then if you do end up having Social Security, great. And if you don't, you're still going to be okay. Now, if you're ready to take the next step, I encourage you to go to themillionaireinsider.com/SR. You can also access our financial freedom guide at themillionaireinsider.com/FFG. This is a powerful first step to help you start building that secure, purpose-filled financial plan that's going to help you then create the retirement you want and deserve. So again, themillionaireinsider.com/FFG. So I'm just going to recap. Hopefully you walked away today understanding that the traditional framework no longer works. We don't have pensions. Social Security's got challenges. We've got to take this into our own hands. When we start looking at retirement as a beginning versus an end, everything changes. We got to get really clear on what we want and the vision we want to create so that we can then make it a reality. And ideally, we're replacing that current paycheck with a purpose-driven life that includes peace of mind. And understanding that this is really about your lifestyle, not just retirement, is key. Just review where you are, figure out what you need to do differently, and then start taking action. And again, if you need support, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/SR. I'm Annette Ba'u. All international copyrights are reserved. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye for now.